Alright guys, this is a brand new video that I've been very excited to share with you guys. Um, I've got a couple of anniversary, events that have come up. One of which is the fact that I've been using Scrivener now for a little over a year. It was back in October of 2014 when I first started the trial of it and began working with it from there. Now, just before I get started, this whole idea, this whole video is going to be about how I use Scrivener to win this year's NaNoWriMo. That's 2015. To win this year's NaNoWriMo, as well as I've used it to finish and begin editing a previous novel. I used it to polish several short stories, to write one or two short stories, a couple short stories, and to write another book that's nonfiction. So hopefully I'll be coming out with a bunch of these. These two novels and the nonfiction book in 2016. That's one of my goals for this year. But I really wanted to share, my process of using Scrivener. Now, this is not going to be a very in-depth discussion on how to use Scrivener on the tutorials. For that, you can go to the help menu and you've got a Scrivener manual here that you can use. Okay, so not really going to go in depth for that. What you can do, if you would like, is if you are interested in purchasing or trying Scrivener, you can go to ericbeatty.com/Scrivener. If you already have Scrivener and you're interested in learning more about Scrivener, I've got a whole section on some more Scrivener resources, and if you go to ericbeatty.com/writing, you'll be able to find a bunch of my recommended writing resources, including a full-length course on how to learn Scrivener very quickly, and you can definitely check those out. Okay, I'll leave some of the links below in the description area of this video. But for now, let's get on into how I use Scrivener specifically for this year's NaNoWriMo. What I did, how I used it to help me, complete my word count. For right now, the total word count of this project is 55,000 words. Now, when I won NaNoWriMo, the word count that I had was the winning word count was 50,501. So since NaNoWriMo, I've written an additional 5,619 words. And this session was set to 1667 per day so that I could reach that target. For right now, I'm kind of taking it a little easier and trying to set each daily session for 500. Well, every time I've written, I've surpassed that. Okay, so you can see that here. The original goal was 50,000. I've surpassed that, so I don't really care about what the next goal is. I'm not worried about word count now. I'm worried about getting the project done, okay? So that's my project target, and when I go into full screen mode here in a minute, some of this is going to be cut off, but that's okay. We'll work with what we get. So for one thing, this whole format here is the NaNoWriMo format, and if you go to the Scrivener website, now once again you can get there by going to ericbeatty.com/Scrivener, and you do some searching, or if you go on Google and do some searching on Scrivener NaNoWriMo template, you can install this. Now if I went to a new project, it would have this available in the fiction section. NaNoWriMo novel, an extension of the standard novel template with extras useful for NaNoWriMo novelists. Okay, now this came as a little bonus from Scrivener, and I don't really have the direct link to it, so you have to do a little bit of searching on that. So it's a very handy thing. You go up here to Nano Novel format. It tells you about compiling. You can use an obfuscated version when you compile it, which basically rearranges your text into gibberish so that nobody else can read it, and it still counts towards your word count. Okay, so that's all that is. And then this whole section up here talks about how to use it for the purposes of NaNoWriMo. Let's see about this template, what this template provides, how to use it, and just some things I highlighted. So, like I said, you can go search for that. I'm not exactly sure what the link is to that. I may try to find that and put it in the show more area, the description area below this video. I'm not sure exactly, but it is a very helpful template just to get started with NaNoWriMo, okay? So, let's get on into this. The goal in NaNoWriMo is to get 50,000 words, okay? And there's a book written by the actual founder of NaNoWriMo who has completed 14 of these events. So he's written 14 novels, maybe even more by now, including this year's NaNoWriMo. And he suggests using a lot of different things to help up your word count, such as writing a lot of description, writing a lot of, he said, she said, because the goal is to get a rough draft out there as quickly as possible. Not worrying about editing or anything like that, because that can happen later. The goal is complete quantity over quality for now, because you can go back and fix the polish, fix the manuscript later. So here's some things that I did. Now this is the novel Kitty Hero Chronicles. Let me see if I can. I've got the ebook cover here. I don't know if I do or not. Yes, here is the cover. Okay, Kitty Hero Chronicles. All right. Now, I'm not worried about showing this because I'm making this novel available for free for right now, unedited anyway, on Wattpad. And if you go to wattpad.com/CIRE, that's Sire, and then Wordsmith, all one word, that's my profile, okay? And you can read this on Wattpad. And if I can, there's a lot of links here I'm going to have to remember, so I might not be able to put them all in the bottom area, but I'll do the best I can. So this is a picture of our cat Java, and she's the main character. She finds out she has some superhero powers, and she's got to use them to defend her town and rescue her town from an evil lab rat. Okay, so that's the whole deal with this, and so this whole story is contained in Scrivener here. Okay, and I have got I'm up to chapter 17 of getting an idea of what to do, and there's probably only going to be about 20 chapters, if that, because that's about as long as the story needs to be. And I'm hoping to get it done by the end of December, so that I can begin edits on this and the other novels and books I was telling you about at the beginning of the year, and try to get those out so that I can start writing again. Using Scrivener for this, basically I've got the way I write and the way I have written in the past using Scrivener after a year of using it, I write in scenes. Okay, so I write in scenes, scene 1, scene 2, and when I feel it's time for a chapter, I'll create a new chapter folder. Basically, this is chapter 1 is 2 scenes. Okay, and if I click the shift button, hold the shift button down and select both of these, and I'm in scrivenings mode right here. In other words, a composite of text documents. In other words, they're all linked together. And if I go down here, you can see where they're separated by this little dividing line. That means this scene, this one right here, is separated from this one, but you can read it all as one document. That's very handy. But not only that is very important, this right here is very important. I can see the word count. I can see the characters. I can see, I can even include, different sections as part of the word count. So this shows me how long this chapter is. Okay, now if I go to another chapter, let's say chapter 4. Now look, 2 scenes in chapter 1, 4 scenes in chapter 4. Now, for me, this helps speed the book along. You get 2 scenes and you're off and running to the next chapter, which just happens to be 3 scenes long, and then 4 scenes long, and then 4 scenes long. And later on, like I said, this is unedited, so I haven't had a chance to arrange these. There's another 3 scenes down here in chapter 10. There's 4 scenes, 2 scenes. So for the most part, I write 3 or 4 scenes per chapter. Now, if I take and do the same thing with this and hold Shift, I have Scrivenings mode, but I also have my characters in words right here. So I've got my word count right here. So this chapter is almost 5,000 words long, while this chapter is 2,000 words. 2,200 words long. So later on, I might want to fix that to where it's not as short. but that's a good way to get off the ground and running, so that you're already in the book if you start out with 1 or 2 scenes as the first chapter. Okay, so now I'm hoping this won't happen, but you may hear the mic going in and out. I've got this on. I'm using my MacBook Air, my laptop, so hopefully my leg isn't muffling the microphone, but we'll just have to do the best we can. Okay, so one thing that I do to help me write and to help me know what's going on is I've allowed, if I go to View and I go to use Label Color In, if I select the binder, it's available in this binder over here. And so you see that while I'm on it, there's a circle here, and when I get off of it, the whole thing is highlighted. Now this helps me see visually what the category is, and I can change these if I go to Edit. I can change these myself. Like for example, there's some scenes where I wanted to make sure that I'm keeping up with the time, so I'll put a new day. Every time the day changes, I put that on there. Every time the POV switches, I put a POV switch there, and I just edited and created these myself. In this instance, I wanted to let myself know later on when I'm editing that this has a lot of either background material or some notes that I really need to pay attention to and that are very important to the story. Okay, and you'll see these different colors. I'm not going to explain what they all mean, but you can see them right here. And these necessarily aren't the same. I don't use green or blue right now. I may change those later, but for the purposes of getting the word count, this really helps you to see where you're at in the word count. Also, this project target up here helps you see. But not only that, when I've got multiple things highlighted, you can't see it, but if I click on one thing, this little thing right here appears, okay? This is my target. If I wanted to make a target for a scene, okay, let's say I want all my scenes to be, 2,500 words long. So I would put 2,500 there, and let's just show you what happens here. This scene is 1857, so if I put 2,500 as my target, and this allows you, once you reach it, it will show a notification, hooray, you reached your word count. So it's a good, kind of like Pavlov's bell. It's a good motivator. So if I click OK, now we can see how far away, just at a glance, that I need to go, okay? And so I can change that later if I want to. I can go to characters, and as I type, this bar goes from red to like orange to closer to green, and then all the way to green, and it even shows it down here. You're at 1857 of 2,500 characters, okay, or words, that is. Okay, so that helps me to make sure I get my word count goal for the day. If this scene, I needed it to be 1667, which is the recommended daily word count to get to 50,000 by the end of November, then look, now it's green, okay? If I needed to go to 10,000 words, just out of an example, this is going to be in the red because I've got a long way to go. So this kind of is a motivator to help you push forward, to show you exactly how far you are. Now, I don't need a word count, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But that is available in each scene, so you can choose each scene you want to put that on, okay? This really helps you get an idea of your overall word count. I can click on Chapter 4, and it doesn't show any word count because these scenes are on their own. So I have to actually highlight them all, and it can show me what my word count is. Also, I can keep up with the project targets. I can go to the text statistics. For this scene, this whole chapter that's highlighted, everything that shows over here, it shows me how much I'm using, my word frequency. I can see how many times I use a certain word to let me know that, hey, I'm using this word too much. You need to kind of go down, and I can go by frequency. That way I don't have to go hunting and pecking for it. It'll show me in order which ones I use, okay? All right, so there's the statistics, and then the last one is, there's a little bar, it says project statistics, okay? So for the whole project, it's going to show me what words I've got for the entire project, okay? So the entire project in the manuscript as compiled is about 54,000 words, about 143 pages, paperback, and printed. If I printed it out, it would be about 190 pages. So that's a long manuscript, which is why it's so wonderful that we have computers now so that we don't have to print out manuscripts. So it shows the selection. So for this selection here, I've got this amount of information happening, okay? All right, and this whole chapter is about 13 pages paperback and 16 pages printed. Okay, so that's a long chapter. You can go by page count as well, and this is kind of an approximation. It's not, exact to the T, but this is a good approximation. If this is 16 pages long, and then this one over here, see what that one says, it's loading here. It's going to tell me 8 pages long. So this, obviously, I've got 4 here. I've got 2 here. This is going to be double whatever this one is. So let's test that. We've got 2,200, and then here we've got 4,900. Well, it's a little over double, but that's a good idea. Okay, so that's just as far as navigating and keeping up with word count. That's a good idea to do that. Now, as far as word count, I don't like to call them cheats because it actually is part of the novel in some sense. I actually created, now this is where you might really want to, if you were familiar with all this other stuff and you're bored or whatever, pay attention to this next part specifically because this is stuff that is, my own idea, okay? In NaNoWriMo, especially during the probably 3rd week, 4th week, they recommend skipping ahead to the scenes that you want to write so that you can, continue to keep your motivation and your momentum and you don't get writer's block, you don't slow down, anything like that. So what I did is I created a folder and I left it in the manuscript area. Now this is very important because this is counted toward my word count goal. Okay? So anything I'm writing here is going to be counted. Now, I'm not going to compile it later on as part of the novel, but for the purpose of NaNoWriMo, this helps increase my word count. Okay, so one of the scenes that I went to was this little scene. I don't know exactly if I wanted to keep it in here, and the way the story is going right now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to keep it, but I created a scene. I skipped ahead and wrote this scene out. And I thought, well, I'll just work towards that. Well, it's not really worked like that, but at least I still have it as kind of like an outtake file. Okay, now here's another scene I haven't started. Maybe the scene with the big climax, the confrontation with the evil rat. So maybe, I've got this as a scene skip. It may end up being a final scene. It may not. But at least I've got it here to help me toward my word count. I didn't get that far. But the other thing that I've got is musings for writer's block. And this is to help me when I have writer's block to go back. Now this is once again in the manuscript folder. So this counts toward the final word count. All right. Now look, I've got my musings were just things that, instead of having notes scattered everywhere, or even in the document notes section, I didn't want to have that because this doesn't count towards my word count. I wanted them as separate text documents so that, for one thing, they're easily referenced, and I can put a lot of things in each one. So, for example, this is my thinking out loud document, okay? So, and here's another tip. Don't delete anything, okay? If you don't like it, mark it as a strike through. You can do that by going to Format, Text, let's see. No, it's font. Format, font, strike through. Or you can just do a right click, go to font, strike through, okay? I don't know if there's a shortcut for that, but a keyboard shortcut, but that's what I've got. Now, that way it still counts towards your word count, okay? And you decide, well, I don't like that idea. I'm going to leave it in there, but it's going to be strike through, so I don't have to worry about it later, okay? And so this right here, I'll date it by what day that I had this idea. Okay, so here's some ideas for superpowers. Here's an idea that I have. A lot of this thinking out loud will help me develop my plot as I go on. Okay, so and here's the days that I had these ideas. All right, so this is all. If I didn't select anything, this right here is a good 1,100 words for my word count. Okay. And once I've finally figured something out, then I'll go ahead and put this here. I'll color it as green to let me know I've already incorporated that, okay? So, and you'll see that there are links here to a lot of stuff, okay? Now, this is called a Scrivener link. If I was to highlight something and say, well, I want to reference this to something else, somewhere else in the manuscript, all I have to do is go to right-click, Scrivener link. And I use this religiously. I use it a lot. If it's something that's similar to the name of one of your scenes or chapters, it usually appears here, so you don't have to go hunting for it. But for the most part, you have to hunt for what you're looking for. chapter 10. Let's say I want to link to that. Okay, so Java meets Tom at Eva's restaurant. So I'll say let's link this text to that. So now if I go back and click on this, it will open in a quick editor. And now I've got Java meets Tom at Eva's restaurant. Okay, so now I can easily reference that if I need to. Okay, and to remove that, you just right click and remove the link. All right, so this allows me to navigate a lot better. If I have notes, I can go back and reference what I'm talking about so that everything is linked together. That's very important. It's very important to know where you're going in your novel and how to get there. Okay. So this may link to parts of the manuscript. It may link to parts of the character, the characters. Like I got a bunch of characters. This Dr. Tom may link to his character profile, so that I can go back and keep up with him. It may link to a place. Whatever may happen, it may link to a bunch of different stuff. But anyway, that's what I use for my thinking out loud. I also have an interview that I wanted to conduct with the evil rat, because I didn't really have an idea of how to flesh him out. So I have all this stuff that I've got an idea of, and some of it is in green because I used it. Some of it is in strike through because I didn't like it. But it's still in green because now I don't have to worry about it. The red stuff points to important plot elements. And you can do that by just going up here and changing the color. It's not hard. You can either click on what the color is, or you can click and hold, and you can change it to whatever color you want to. Same thing with a highlight. I could highlight this text to let me know something's up, and I can click and hold to change the highlight as well. Okay. So possible outcomes. Here's a lot of the red because to let me know that, oh, this is very important plot stuff. Don't forget about this. So I never really had an interview with a rat, but I put everything that dealt with the rat, the villain, the main villain, the antagonist, in this document. Okay. So for one thing, it's all in one place, centrally located. It's not scattered throughout in document notes or in the comments or anything like that. Okay. That's very important. All right. So let's see what we got here. And this shows me what's been referenced. Referenced in this is, different documents that I've referenced in that. So if I went back to thinking out loud, there's probably a bunch of them. So there's still a few of these that are referenced. Okay, so different scenes and stuff like that. This was very interesting to me. In Scrivener, you can actually pull in some audio, and that's what this right here is. If I clicked on this, you'll be able to hear it. Should be able to. So let me click on this real quick. And I recorded this on my iPhone using an app called Rev Recorder, R-E-V Recorder. It's free. It's a very good, reliable app, and you can have that company transcribe things for you. So this is some notes that I had for Java, and I just pulled them into Scrivener. That's the wonderful thing about Scrivener is you can pull things in, and you can even pull web links and web pages in. And so you can have everything referenced handy right here. Not only is Scrivener great for, navigating different scenes and breaking your scenes up, it's also amazing that everything that you need is located in your binder. That's what this thing's called, okay? And that's the button for it, is your binder, okay? So here is some novel ideas I had. I'll let it play for just a little bit, and then you'll see what I did with that. Okay, here's some ideas for the newest novel for NaNoWriMo. Currently, I'm in the scene with Trusty. Java has just said about her father trusting people and giving them the benefit of a doubt. And okay, now, just to let you know, this little symbol here, it rewinds by a few seconds when you pause. So if I just pause that, and it should rewind by a few seconds when I play it again. That's what he would have done. And so at that point, Trusty can probably say something like, okay, so it didn't. So let's see what happens if I click it. There, I got to click it. That's what got your father killed. So pause. It's at 23. Let's rewind by a few seconds on play. Something like, that's what got your father killed. Okay, so the wonderful thing about this is I can use something called split screen. And that's exactly what I did. This was like a 4-minute long audio thing, okay? The good thing is I didn't have my computer with me, but I did have my smartphone with me, and it really saved my bacon for coming up with ideas. Now, this is the split screen icon, okay? You can toggle it, and you can split with something else. Within Scrivener, I created another area for musings for writer's block, so once again count toward my final word count. And I wanted to have a recorded audio idea. So what I did was I would toggle this in split screen mode, and this down here, if I enable it, it's blue. So whatever I click now will end up in this. So I'm going to leave that below, and I'm going to shorten it because I don't really need all this space. It's just an audio file, okay? Everything I need is right here. So in this section, I'll toggle it, make sure it's blue, and I'll put my recorded audio ideas. So now all I have to do is click play. It's on rewind after a few seconds so that I can go back if I get lost, and click play and start typing. Say this was a new document and I haven't done anything. Okay, so let's just, for fun, let's say that nothing exists in this document. Okay, I'm going to click play. Okay, here's some ideas for the newest novel for NaNoWriMo. Currently, I'm in the scene with Trusty. Java has just said about her father trusting people and giving them the benefit of a doubt, and that's what he would have done. Okay, so I pause to type the rest of this, blah, 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 blah. Then I resume, and it backtracks a little bit. Benefit of a doubt, and that's what he would have done. And so at that point, Trusty can probably say something like, "That's what got your father killed," or something like that under his breath. And maybe she's like, "Well, what did you say?" Okay, so that just gives you an idea. It's very amazing that you can do this, all right? And so the research, everything in my research that I need to reference again is in the research area. Now, eventually, this musings for writer block will be in the research area because I don't want it to be part of the final manuscript. When I get everything incorporated, when everything here is green or struck through or whatever, then yes, I will be ready to move this whole section into the research area and compile my novel as it should be compiled, okay? So that's a very, very amazing thing. And also, you can reference, like say I wanted to put something else down here to reference. Like I had my Thinking Out Loud document down here a lot so that I can just come down here and type in it whenever I needed to. So I wouldn't, it's very important to have this stuff handy and available at your disposal because you don't want to break the flow of creative thought. So if I'm typing along in my novel up in here, and all of a sudden I have an idea, I'm going to come down here and bam, it's ready for me. There's not a lot of real estate on a laptop. You kind of get used to it. I mean, this right here is plenty for me to get used to. And if you need more, you can remove the inspector. You can close the binder. Or when you go into full screen, you can have it to, in your preferences, you can have it to automatically minimize the inspector and the binder, so that it's out of your way if you're in full screen, okay? And I don't mean compose mode, I mean actual full screen. So if I click full screen, I can have it to where the inspector is hidden, okay? All right, so now that was there's some ideas that you can help for your word count. Once again, all these are counted toward my word count. Now, the next thing I had was any terms that I wanted to remember later on, like a story glossary. So let's click on this one to make it active. It's blue, so my story glossary is anything that I wanted to remember what the terms were for. And I've also got a link to where this is first mentioned so that I can always go back to it. And that was once again a Scrivener link. And then the loose ends is just, what is going on. I've got some stuff I've got to tie up, so I need to figure it out, okay? And some free writing, I didn't get into this, but this was just some stuff if I needed to, break through a writer block barrier, I would just click on it and just start writing. And this is just some ideas, some other random ideas that really didn't fit in any of these. And so I never got around to these. I may eventually. But then I've got some cuts. Any cuts that I made. Here's some cuts. And I'm counting that towards my word count. Again, this is all in the manuscript document. Everything that is lined up with it right here is counted towards my word count, okay? Everything outside of that is not, okay? So everything I want to keep is right there. And I also kept another section that I found really important. And every week I would write down what was important to me and what I've learned over NaNoWriMo. And that is in the research, and I called it NaNoWriMo Weekly Summaries. And so every week I learned something new. I put my weekly totals, my grand total for this week. All this is going on, blah, blah, blah. And so that really helped. All right. So that helped me keep an idea of what I was doing, and helped me, motivate me and let me know that I can do that, and I could see at a glance my word count increasing. Okay, my word count totals increasing. There's 24,000. There's that many words, and then I won with a total of 50,501. Okay, so all right, so as far as how I used it, this is how I used it. Another thing that really helped motivate me in winning NaNoWriMo is the full screen mode. You can go to your Scrivener preferences, and you can go to, I think it's appearance. Let's see. Let me make sure that I've got it here. It's compose. You can go to background right here and compose, preferences, compose, background. You can use the default color. You can choose your texture. Now the texture that I chose when I began was the NaNoWriMo participant banner, but now I've got it, since I won, I've got it as the winner banner. So every time I'm writing, it has extra motivation here. Winner, NaNoWriMo winner. So now I can go and start writing in the full screen mode, and this lets me know I've already won. Let's go to the finish line. Let's finish this novel up, okay? And you can just press escape, and it comes right out of that. So, and by the way, when you're in full screen mode, if you didn't know this, your compose mode, your menu is down below. You can't see it here. You see that black bar that just came up? You can't see all the options here. But I can go to any point in the manuscript, and it will bring it up in this area. I can open the inspector, and it'll bring it up, and it'll open it, and then I can switch between all the different inspector areas here. So I can open up my keywords. I can, resize the page. I can scale the text. I can make the paper wider, longer or wider. I can make it wider if I like it to be wider. I can do all these options down below. So don't think that all your menus is gone. You have to escape every time. Everything that you need is right here at the bottom. All right. So I'm trying to think of anything else. The other thing that I have available are some of the documents that I had, or one of the documents that I had that shows some records of my writing. Okay, now I've already talked about this in Wattpad in one of my stories, and let me just go ahead and bring this up real quick for you. These are a bunch of records that I had created on all my writing. Okay, and I've got comments. If you see this little yellow arrow, you can look on here, and there's some ideas that I had wrote down based on where the comment is. And I've got this available for you to read and to watch on your own. Okay, now this is the link to it, but so you don't have to memorize this thing. I will post a link down below, but also you can find it if you go to my profile, which is, like I said, this is it. You don't have to type in the user. You can just type in wattpad.com/SireWordsmith, and you can read everything that I have talked about and experienced about in my NaNoWriMo story right here, How to Win at NaNoWriMo. Now, if I click on this, it'll take me to start reading. I can start reading it. It will take you to the beginning of it. Okay, but if you want to learn, this is from 2009. If you want to learn what I've come up with and learned in 2015, you'll need to go to It's Official, NaNoWriMo 2015 Participant. Everything after that is highlights and updates based on what I've done in 2015, what I've learned in 2015. And I'm adding, the first and second week is now available, and now I'm adding the third week and the final week, putting it up. And that is related to, the first and second week is related to all this stuff. Writing about all these bullet points, okay? So that's what that's about. If you go to It's Official, the NaNoWriMo participant, there are weekly updates. So what I've learned in that week, what my word count looked like, you know, my overview and all this other stuff's going on. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here that that is available to you for information. And like I said, this link is actually in here in some of these stories. So if I go to the first week, 2.0, because I've got the first week here. This is the first week in 2009 that I wrote. Okay, now I've got the first week in 2015. So I go here, and if you do a search, you go Control F, you can find external link, and everything that says external link is what is located. If you go down to the bottom and click on external link. So what is the external link for this section? Following the external link, you can my results. Feel free to view my results, including comment, tips, and links by following externally in this section. So the section that is labeled the first week, the external link is going to be this document, this spreadsheet of all these things. So that's where you can find it. You can also find, I'll leave a link here below. If I forget though, this right here is where you can find it. You just go to Wattpad, check that out. And I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in this How to Win It NaNoWriMo. Okay, and I've just built onto that, and I continue to build onto it. So all this stuff that you see, these bullet points here, that's the same stuff. This is week 1. Well, that's the same stuff as week 1 here. Excited at times, tired at others, hunting season. Excited at times, tired at others, hunting season. Okay, so that's, I took each bullet point, wrote a little bit about it. Each bullet point, wrote a little bit about it, okay? And so you can find out more about that by going to Wattpad and by checking out the links that are listed below, okay? So for now, I think that's all that I have for learning Scrivener. Once again, if you want to learn really how to master this this program, you can definitely go check out ericbeatty.com/writing for some courses on how to learn Scrivener really quickly, and just check those out. You can, look on YouTube for Scrivener videos. The important thing to remember about Scrivener is don't get overwhelmed. And there's a lot of options up here. There's even more options if you right-click on your toolbar and go to Customize Toolbar. There's all these options you can move and add to your toolbar. It's very easy to get overwhelmed in this program. But you have to remember, just only use what you need. Okay, now there's a whole other world out there when it comes to compiling, and that is this button, Compile. If I want to compile this, make it a manuscript, get it ready for publishing on CreateSpace or Amazon or whatever, then I would click that button and start compiling everything. And I have all these options. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. But like I said, if you check out that link, ericbeatty.com/Scrivener, and ericbeatty.com/writing, more specifically writing, because that'll give you the some tutorials. They will explain it in high detail for you, okay? So definitely check out those links. Check out the links that are also going to be in this, and I'll probably go ahead and upload this as soon as possible so I don't forget the links, or at least put it on Trello so I don't forget what the links are going to be. And hopefully this video will be available to you very soon. But for now, my best tip is to include any notes or anything like that in your manuscript count. Because look, from here to everything that's been written, that is an additional 2,216 words, which may not be much in the whole entire scope of, actually let's count this too. May not be much, but in the entire scope, almost 4,000 words can mean the difference between winning and losing. And the good thing is, chances are most of your writing is going to be in the manuscript itself. So don't feel like you're really cheating, and I would be disappointed if all this was, 20,000 words. That would be very disappointing, because then I still have a long way to go to get to 50,000 in an actual manuscript format, because it would be all notes. This is a, 50,000 something novel, and by the end of this it may be 60, 70,000 words. But the good thing is that the majority of it is going to be contained in the manuscript itself. These are all notes that are just going to be, there for my availability if I need it. So I'm going to put back everything the way it was when I got here. Just don't be overwhelmed. Take it one thing at a time. Just begin writing and see where it takes you, all right? Scrivener is definitely worth a try. I've tried it for a year. My official review is that it is so amazing. The good thing is, during NaNoWriMo time, you can get it at a discount. Whether you win or not, you can still get it at a discount by going to their website, the ericbeatty.com/Scrivener. They will have options there for, if you win for NaNoWriMo. You can do a NaNoWriMo search on their website or something. All right, so that's basically it for this video. There's no need in going any further. Also, don't forget to check out the NaNoWriMo format, the NaNoNovel format, to install in Scrivener. I'll probably go back and research all these links up so that you can find these easily. And make sure to leave some comments. Make sure to leave some of your suggestions, and maybe anything you can think of in the comments section below. Make sure you share this with other people who will find it beneficial as well. And I think that's as far as I can go on this right now. This is what I've been using Scrivener for. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of in-depth. I haven't used a lot of the buttons. There's not a lot of things that I've there's tons more stuff to cover. But just showing you the basics, I think you can get a handle on it and begin working on it. And the best thing about Scrivener, one of the best things, is it has a 30-day free trial. So you can try it for free with one of your novels or with something else. But I guarantee you, once you try it and you plug in your own novel, the cool thing is you can drag your Word documents into Scrivener and begin dividing them up into chapters. And there's a bunch of good ways to do that. You can look up some tutorials on how to do that really quick. And so once you get your novel in here, I guarantee that you probably will not go back. If you just take it slowly, one step at a time, discover some of these things on your own. The last thing I will say, and then we'll close, I just remembered, you want to back up everything you do every time you write. You want to back up everything you do, okay? Now, there's some other modes that I was going to get into earlier, and I forgot. I'll just highlight on these real quick. You have the Scrivenings view, where you can view everything that's selected as one document. You have the corkboard view, where you can move things around and have a little, synopsis of whatever's in here. And you have an outline view, so you can see all your outlines. If you have progress, word counts, and all these things, like I said down here, right here. If you've labeled those will show up in your highlight, your outline word, or outline section. You can do that. But that's just a little quick thing of that. Now, like I said, the last thing I want to go over is the backup. You want to back up everything you have. Let's go to Preferences. And here's how I do my backups, especially for NaNoWriMo, okay? You go to Backup. I've got the location on my Dropbox, okay? So I've got it in, actually, no, I don't. I've got it on my computer, but it syncs to my Dropbox, okay? So you can put it in your computer Dropbox folder, your Google Drive folder, whatever, all right? So, and what I tell it to do is back up on project close. So every time I close it, it's going to back up. And I tell it to back up with each manual save. Because sometimes I leave Scrivener open for a while and I've typed a lot. I don't necessarily want to close it, because if I close it, maybe I'll, not write anymore later that day. And if it's open, it's already there, ready for me, and I can start writing. Okay, so what I want to do in that case is just click Control S or Command S and back it up when it saves. So every time I save, it gives me a backup, and it contains the 5 most recent backups, because these things can really pack a wallop on your storage space if you keep too many. So if you're afraid, then go for 10, and it'll always delete the oldest backup in favor of the newest backup. Okay, I always compress them so they'll save. And it says slower. Let me tell you, this is very fast. It's slower to do it this way, but I'm telling you, it's a very fast process. You click save, and in a snap, it's done. Okay, I use the date and the backup file name, so I know where the backups, what day that I had them. You can open the backup folder. You can save this as a certain preference. You can choose a different backup folder, and I turn on automatic backups. So Scrivener is backed up to my computer, which then backs it up to my Dropbox so that I can access it on any other computer that I have Scrivener on. In this case, I've got 2 computers that I have Scrivener on, and I can back it up and open it on both of those, okay? So that is very important, all right? Always back up your stuff. You never know when you have a power failure and you need to go back to the most recent backup, or something happens to corrupt the file and you need a previous version of it. So definitely back up your stuff daily, all right? It's very important. Do not lose what you've worked so hard to accomplish. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. I've got a lot of video ideas coming up, and I'm just hoping that I'll have the motivation and the time to get them all out to you. Hope you like this screencast, and leave me some comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like, and check out those links that are below. All of them. There's probably going to be many of them, including links to my bluegrass course and the Texas blues course and things like that. Check them all out. They'll all be beneficial to you. I promise you that. And we'll see you guys later on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. By the way, I'm using Snagit version 2 to do this screencast. Talk to you later, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy writing. It's a wonderful process. I really enjoyed it. And God bless. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you guys later.